Okay, let's get started. A lot of friends are coming on in, so we're going to get started because you are giving up your free time to be here with me, and I'm so excited to share with you. And I think this is a really important topic. We're going to talk about making our phonemic awareness instruction effective because there are some myths out there or some things that people believe. And I want to share with you the research because we want to do what is effective, backed by evidence, backed by research. So that's what I'm about to share with you. I'm really excited about that. Again, if you're joining me on the replay, just drop your questions below, drop them in the chat. I have my lovely friend Laura, who is here. She joins me on these awesome things to help answer questions. So she's here. If you have a question, you can drop it in the chat. She will either answer if she knows the answer to the question, or she'll put it on a little doc, and at the end, we'll come back to your questions. But I'm just going to go ahead and teach through my slides. That way we can kind of keep moving forward, and then at the end we can come back to your questions. So save that. And I think that's all of the things. You already know how to work the chat, you know how to work the questions, so we can get started. Like I said, I'm going to flip over to my slides, and then at the end I'll come back and see you again. So let me just share my screen here. And okay, I think you can see here. This is my screen. Okay, so effective phonemic awareness instruction. So that's why we're here. I am planning, I'm going to go ahead and hide myself because I just, I get too distracted. I'm here because I want to teach you a little bit about the research, as well as give you effective teaching strategies that you can take into your classroom. So I wonder if you're like me. I taught for 21 years. Currently, I'm not in the classroom right now. And when I taught first grade, so that's a grade that, you would think that we are going to be teaching phonemic awareness, but I did not get any prep, any professional development regarding how critical it is to teach our students phonological and phonemic awareness skills. I don't know if you're like me, you can pop it in the comments if you feel like it. But we do know now that we are leaning into the science of reading, the decades of research, that's what the science of reading is. If we're leaning into that, we know that if we want to make our instruction effective for all students, one of the things that we do know is that students with strong phonological awareness skills are likely to become good readers, and students with weak phonological skills are likely to become poor readers. So I wanted to share this with you because I've done a lot of research, I've done training, I'm part of the Reading Science Academy. I'm currently working my way through letters, the top 10 the reading teachers top 10 tools with Deb Glazer was really great. And this is where I started to learn about phonemic awareness and how critical it is for our students, because the research is really, really clear. We have a lot of evidence that students absolutely need instruction in phonemic awareness. So I want to clear up some of the myths. I want to give you information and know where to start. I will tell you, I do have a kindergarten and first grade resource that I just finally finished and put the finishing touches on. And I will offer it to you. It's not something that you have to be part of this teacher training. I just think that you're going to get so much value here. But if you don't have resources, then I'm going to offer a way for you to get it at a really good discount tonight. So, okay. So first we need to get clarity about all the terms that we're going to be using. So first of all, phonological awareness and phonemic awareness are spoken about in ways that might lead us to infer that they're interchangeable, but they are not. So phonological awareness is the awareness or the sensitivity to the sound structure of language. And phonological awareness is an umbrella term. It's used to describe awareness at different levels of spoken language. It includes activities at different units of language, including the word level, the syllable level, the onset rhyme level, and then the phoneme level. And a child with phonological awareness can identify, they can create rhyming words, they can count syllables in words, they can identify and manipulate individual sounds at the word level. And phonemic awareness is the most sophisticated and most important level of phonological awareness. So what exactly is phonemic awareness? So it's the capacity for our students to attend and to manipulate the phonemes. It fits under the umbrella of phonological awareness, and it's an awareness of the smallest units of sound or phonemes in a word. And a child that has phonemic awareness can hear that the word bat has the sounds b, a, t. And a child with developed phonemic awareness could change the h at the beginning of hat to k and know that now it's the word cat. So why is phonemic awareness so important? Some people have an idea that children will need to master the lower level phonological awareness skills. And Dr. Susan Brady, she tells us that children typically develop awareness of the larger sound units. Remember, those are the words, the syllables, the onset rhymes, before they start attending to phonemes. But instruction focusing on these larger units should not be thought of as like a prerequisite. They don't have to be taught to go on over to the word level. So there's not really any evidence that working on syllables or onset and rhymes helps children read better. There's no evidence in that. It's really phonemic awareness that supports the word reading skills. And research has absolutely confirmed this. So the National Reading Panel, which happened in 2000, it examined the impact of phonemic awareness instruction, and the meta-analysis conducted by the National Reading Panel, it included 52 research studies. And it identified that phonemic awareness instruction under all different teaching conditions supported children's reading and spelling development. It's very clear, the National Reading Panel is very clear that the most important phonological skills are blending and segmenting at the phoneme level. And the phoneme level skills contribute directly to decoding and encoding. But you might hear someone or something I read in like different Facebook groups, or I've heard people say to me is like, phonemic awareness are activities that you can do in the dark. They're like oral activities. Well, we need to remember that just because we can do something in the dark, just because we can do it, does not mean we should. So researchers kind of think that this saying came about as a way to help teachers understand the concept of phonemic awareness, processing sounds. But somewhere along the line, it turned into the idea that adding letters was somehow wrong. And when we add letters to phonemic awareness task, it does make it phonics instruction, but it doesn't mean it isn't still phonemic awareness instruction also. In fact, with letters, it's better phonemic awareness instruction. Teaching with letters is important because this helps children apply their phonemic awareness skills to reading and writing. So also, let's make sure that we're all clear. What exactly is phonics? So phonics connects sounds to symbols of written language. And phonics is the ability to recognize a sound or a phoneme and associate it with a written symbol or letter that represents the sound. So when we hear cat, we write C-A-T. And explicit phonics instruction includes instruction that is direct, precise, unambiguous, and it's built on the foundation that phonemic awareness provides us. So the National Reading Panel report, it supports explicitly teaching children how to apply phonemic awareness skills into decoding and encoding tasks. In fact, the findings indicate that phonemic awareness instruction is most effective when children are taught to manipulate phonemes with letters. You can do this through activities such as phoneme graphing mapping or word chaining. In this picture here, I'm showing word mapping. Basically, you say the word sled and you would show a picture or help students to know the meaning of what you're saying, the word of a sled. And then you're going to tell your students to tap the word sled. So they're going to use, hold on, let's see. I'm going to pull up my camera so you could see. Oh, I don't know where my camera went. Hold on 1 second. Let me stop sharing and start my video. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so I think you can see me now on the camera, right? Maybe someone could pop it in, but so you show them the picture of sled. Yes, okay, good. And then you're gonna tap it. So with your students, and I know different programs do tapping a little bit differently, but with my kids, I did sled. So you do s, l, d, right? And so you tap each sound, you're saying the sound as you tap it. Then you map it. What that means is you can place a token, a penny, a cube, a pom-pom. You can put Play-Doh balls, but they can smash it. Just gives them that multisensory, by tapping it, that's helping them to learn it, right? And then after they tap it, they map it, and then they graph it, right? The graphing, right? So they're using both their phonics and their phonemic awareness skills to do word mapping. Same thing if you're doing word chaining. So you can also say, friends say sled, and they say sled. Now say sled, and we're going to manipulate the phoneme. We're going to delete a sound. So that's word chaining. So we can say sled, take the s away. And so they can, especially if you have like letter tiles or you're using whiteboards, I always use whiteboards with my kids, and they would just erase it and take the S away. And now they have lead, right? So studies that taught phonemic awareness skills while integrating letters or graphemes had larger effects on phonemic awareness, decoding, and spelling outcomes for at-risk and typical readers. Even though both instruction had positive results, integrating letters gives a better effect. That's what the studies proved. So learning how to decode and spell using phoneme graphing correspondences increases a student's knowledge of phonemes along with their knowledge of graphemes. It's a reciprocal relationship. So we're going to focus on phoneme level skills, that's segmenting and blending. The research is really, really clear. Remember, we said all the phonological skills, you don't have to master those skills. I've seen pictures where it's kind of like a stair step. That has not been proven scientifically. You don't need to spend instructional time on those phonological levels. It's not bad for your students to be doing like syllable, like compound words where you break apart compound words or breaking apart syllables. For some students, they're going to need that if they're not at the level, the word level. But here's what we know, that it's not bad. It's not going to hurt our students, but we want to use the time that we would be using for those like skills to do things like phoneme grapheme mapping, to do word chaining, to do other phoneme level skills with our students. You know, our time is so valuable, so precious. And so if we're spending 10, 12 hours a day in a scripted phonological awareness program, we're missing the opportunity to do things like blending lines, reading decodable text, dictation activities, things like that, where we can, students can do more orthographic mapping. If you know orthographic mapping, it's the mental process that stores words because we don't read by sight. So we want to keep working on our phonemic awareness with the blending and segmenting. So if your curriculum, if you have a curriculum already that includes phoneme level skill instruction, but also those other phonological skills, syllables, the rhyming, you're going to want to focus your instructional time on those phoneme level skills. And sometimes I'm hearing teachers, because these new programs are new. I don't think I have to name one. There's a very popular one. These new programs are new, and teachers are like, I love this program. It's so amazing. My kids are so good at phonemic awareness, phonological skills. They do. Okay, so we don't want our kids to be good at that. We want them to be proficient readers. So that's what we really need to keep in mind. This is kind of like a segue. The whole goal of it is to improve our word recognition and our reading skills. So we don't want them to be good at these like isolated sub skills. We want them to be good at actually decoding and reading. So there's a variety of phonemic awareness activities that you can be done with your students. You do some segmenting, blending, deleting, substituting, and adding phonemes. Those are all sub-skills of phonemic awareness. But research, let's go back to research again. It says that segmenting and blending are the two most important phonemic awareness tasks. So really quickly, what phoneme blending is, activities that require our students to put the phonemes or the sounds together to form words. Instructional activities that target blending at the phoneme level support decoding. And when students decode a word, they must blend all those sounds together. So a teacher says, sh, e, p, and students say, sheep. Right? Phoneme segmentation would be the opposite. Phoneme segmentation activities, they require our students to break apart the individual phonemes of a word. And these segmenting skills, they support encoding or writing. So when they write a word, they have to break apart the word so that they hear each individual sound and match it with the corresponding letter or grapheme. So the teacher says, sheep, and the students say sh, e, p. My kids like you finger tapping, or we always did roller coaster for some reason, I guess because roller coaster is a fun word. We would do sh, e, p, and then sheep. And it's actually better if you can do it more of like in a blending way. So sh, e, p, right? Sheep, right? So this picture right here came from my phonemic awareness lessons. These are picture mats. Again, we want to activate the meaning processor part of our brain for reading. And so you're going to show that to your students because we're working on short A here, and we're going to segment. So we're going to tap and map. So we're segmenting, we're saying van. I show them, I point to the picture of a van, and we say v, a, n. We can move a cube, v, a, n. You can have your friends like use their finger without writing any letters yet. Put their finger and swipe under it, van, right? And then you can ask them, say the sounds as you're writing, v, a, n. And then blend and read van. So And if your students struggle to segment and blend 3 phoneme sound words, then you can go back and just do 2 phonemes. And this is going to reduce the cognitive load for them. And then once they've mastered 2 and 3 level phonemes, you can move up to 4 and 5 level phonemes. Again, studies that included these tasks, blending and segmenting, had better outcomes in decoding and spelling than studies that worked on other phoneme level tasks. All right, the next thing research tells us, start early and train everyone. So start early, students in the lower grades, preschool, kindergarten, first grade, they showed the larger effect sizes acquiring phonemic awareness than children in higher grades. So our students in higher grades still acquired phonemic awareness, but just not at the same high effect rate than students at lower grades. So recommendations, if your program does not already include phonemic awareness skills in pre-K or K, let's add it into our reading block. Let's go ahead and add that now. Even in pre-K and kindergarten, students can begin breaking down and putting together simple 2 and 3 sound words with the graphemes to develop phonemic awareness, reading and spelling earlier than typical practice with the explicit instruction. So here's what studies found, that phonemic awareness instruction lasting from only 5 to 18 hours total, the whole year, produced the larger effects than shorter or longer programs. So I got my calculator out because I'm not a math girl, but 18 hours divided by 180 school days, I think that's kind of typical, is 6 minutes a day for phonemic awareness skills. 6 minutes a day is what is recommended. That had the highest effect. Okay, so far, here's what we've already learned. We've talked about we're going to integrate phonics and letters. We're going to focus on phoneme level skills, blending and segmenting. We're going to instruct everyone, and we're going to start early, at the earliest that we can. The other thing that research is very clear on is that we want to teach 1 to 2 phoneme level tasks in a single lesson. So studies with 1 or 2 phoneme level tasks improved phonemic awareness outcomes at a larger rate than studies that included many different phoneme level tasks. So what does that mean? If you have a program where there are 10 tasks a day, I mean, you're going to need to do what your school wants you to do, but if you are trying to align your instruction up to research, and you are able to, if you have that other program that has 10 tasks a day, set a timer. Set a timer for how much time that you are going to spend doing those phonological skills every day. When the timer goes up, time is up, time to move on. Then also the second recommendation, look at your program and look at the phoneme level skills, blending and segmenting. Remember, those are where we're going to get the most bang for our buck. That's where we want to invest all of our time. So if you have that program, that's how you can adjust it to match more of what the research says. And next, so the research is really clear that you don't need to include all the different phonemic awareness tasks like isolation, categorization, blending, segmenting, deletion, addition, substitution. You don't need to do all of those. Remember, 1 to 2 tasks in a single lesson to be impactful. You can focus on modeling and scaffolding 1 or 2 tasks per lesson. And the lowest level recommended beginning tasks, so if you're a kindergarten or pre-K teacher, would be isolating initial and final phonemes in a word. So this is showing from my kindergarten phonemic awareness program. You're seeing here, the focus is short I and short N, and you're going to start with isolating the beginning phoneme with your students. So this part is oral with your students, and you're going to say, I'm going to say a word. Tell me the first sound you hear. Ready? And I do this with my students. Top. So I say top. Now, I don't want all of my students to just say the sound or the word back to me, because if my students are just saying it, what happens? Those same like 3 to 5 kids are always saying the answer. And those kids who really need that phonemic awareness, they're never getting the opportunity to think, right? So you have to set up hand gestures. Sorry. You have to set up hand gestures with your students so that they know when it's time to respond. So it's like call and respond. So I say top, and then I give them the gesture and they say t, right? So that would be isolating the beginning sound. I'll say a word, tell me the final. We can use final, we can use ending, we can interchange those so our students have that opportunity to hear that other vocabulary so they know what you're meaning. So I'll say a word, tell me the final sound. Gap. And I'm really making sure to articulate correctly, the sounds correctly. So I say gap. And then I give them a little waiting time. And then I put my hands out and they say, P, right? So then you're going to go through those. There's 5 words there. You're going to go through the beginning sounds and the ending sounds. Then you're going to do a visual drill. The visual drill is you show a grapheme and they say the phoneme. So the visual drill would be like you just holding up letter cards, or if you have, some people make slides where they do like a slide deck. So you would just show them. You can do the uppercase and the lowercase. You can mix them up, but these are only the graphemes that you have explicitly taught. So we're not just going to put ones in here. We're only going to use the ones that we've already taught. So then I show the grapheme, and then my kids, your students will say, ah, right? And then they say, so it's really fast. Right? Oh, okay. You get the idea. And then the auditory drill. So again, this is the lowest level. Auditory drill is when I say the phoneme, and this time my students are writing the grapheme or graphemes. When you later in the year, if you're doing like vowel teams and things like that, you can say, I can say A, and my students can write all the ways that we spell long A, right? Okay, so that would be the lower level. And once you move through the lowest level, then we want to move into segmenting and blending and phoneme grapheme mapping. So when teaching the first sound blending and blending and segmenting, you're going to want to start with continuous sounds. Those are the sounds that you can hold, like is like a continuous sound. So you would start with words like you would say A, put it together, say. So there's sounds that at the beginning, like S and M and F, they can hold the sound, right? They can be stretched by the students. Those are much easier for students to be blending together at the beginning than a stopping sound like B or T or P, right? Those are harder to hold. They block the breath and they stop suddenly. So you're going to warm up with your students. And this is, again, someone had mentioned earlier about the sound wall. So if you think about it, phonemic awareness is integrated again with phonics. So all the things that we're doing, we're using a sound wall with our instruction. Our sound wall is not like a whole separate thing. It's actually, we're just integrating the sound wall with phonics and phonemic awareness. So this is the perfect opportunity to refer back to the sound wall. Right? If you're using decodables, this is also, you're going to be integrating like your sound wall, your decodables, your word study units, all of this phonemic awareness. It's all like interwoven. Like if you think of Scarborough's reading rope, it's like interwoven together. So you're going to warm up with your students and you're going to say friends. So you're going to be really explicit. You're going to be direct, exactly what they're going to be learning. Friends, today we're going to work on the short A. We're going to practice words with short A. Short A makes the sound ah. Let's get out our mirrors and look at how when we're making the sound of ah. Let's look at our sound wall. Let's look at what picture is showing the ah. Like the picture is kind of the anchor for us, right? And so then we're looking at what is our mouth, what is our tongue, our teeth, what is happening. You're going to explicitly say to your students, if this is like the beginning where you're just teaching and modeling, this is the beginning, you're going to be really specific. You're going to talk about how your mouth is rounded, how your tongue is low in your mouth, how you feel when you say ah, it's your voice box is on. You're going to say ah, feel how you can feel the vibration, right? So you're going to talk about that during your warm-up. You can also integrate, it's really a good idea. I learned this from Michael Hunter and Linda Farrell. They're from Readsters, I think, but I watched this whole video where she talked about having just for the vowels, but having some kind of like movement so that the students, when they get to confusing vowels are often confused, that they have like a movement or a gesture that they can like hook back into. So you can say to them like the short A, ah, apple, like pretend like you're eating an apple, like short U, up, pointing up, right? So that's connecting also again to your sound wall because we have apple, we have up, all of that. So we're just warming up. That's like less than 1 minute. We're talking explicitly about that. Then we're going to do some segmenting. So this again is the oral part where you're going to say, I'm going to tell you a word and you say the sounds. Ready? I'm going to say the word fat. And then your friends are going to do fat, right? And then the next word, I say sat. And your friends, sat. Right? We're practicing words with short A, which by the way, is also what we're studying. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute, but it's exactly aligned with what we're doing in our word study. So we're aligning our word study, like you might call it spelling. We want to get away from the traditional spelling. We want to do more word study. So our word study and our phonemic awareness is completely aligned. So it's making meaning because that's what our phonics is also, right? So that's the segmenting. Then we're going to move on to blending. Okay, I'm going to tell you the sounds and you're going to say the word when I tap my head. This is what I always did with my kids. When I tap my head or when I hit my hands on my heart, whatever, however you want to make it fun. When I point up to the ceiling. So I say, when I say, say b, a, t, and then my friends are going to say bat, right? P, a, and my friends say half. So we're giving a little bit of wait time also. Remember, just because we want all of our friends to have an opportunity to be part of that. And then for phoneme graphing mapping, I'm going to say it. I'm going to point to the picture. I'm going to say mad. So our friends are going to need to have their whiteboards or however you want to do it. And we point to the picture. We say mad. They say the whole word mad. Let's tap it. D, right? Mad. Okay, let's map it. So you can have them push a token, push a Play-Doh, pick up a pom-pom, put a cube in a square, whatever you want them to do. And then they say, mad. Okay, you can have them push those pom-poms away. You can also just have them simply just take on their whiteboards. If you don't want them to get like a manipulative, you can just have them write a little line instead for the mapping part. So, d, and then add the graphings, add the letters. mad, right? So that's the connecting the phonemes to the graphemes. And you're just using these picture cards so that your kids are activating that meaning part of their brain. Okay, like I was just saying, we're going to always want, research tells us, we want to align our phonemic awareness lessons, our instruction, to our phonics scope and sequence. So if you do like a weekly word study, what you're doing there in your phonics lessons, that's what you want to be doing in your phonemic awareness lessons, so that the phonemic awareness is just kind of like a warm-up. It's activating, it's starting, like starting the motor for our brains for them to get ready for that phonics part, the word study. The purpose of teaching phonemic awareness is to build those phoneme hooks in our brain that we're going to hang the graphemes on. I heard in a recent video, Dr. Louisa Moats, she's the author for Speech to Print. She's the co-author for Letters. If you're done letters or having to do letters, she described it as the sounds are the parking spaces for the letters. So whenever possible, we're going to connect the work, the phonemic awareness work, to our phonics scope and sequence in your program, so that the students are now making that connection of the graphemes and the phonemes together. Okay. And then teaching, this is what the research from the National Reading Panel, all the research aligned. It tells us that teaching phonemic awareness in small groups was found to be most effective, as it allows the teacher to monitor student responses, to provide corrective feedback, to scaffold instruction as necessary for students to be successful. So you're really getting to be there with the students and monitor what's happening, provide that corrective feedback, intervene right away. If you have to do it whole group, some teachers might have to do it whole group. It was still very effective, but just not as effective as small group instruction. So we want to make our instruction the most meaningful. And again, like I said, one of the reasons why we think, or why researchers believe, that small groups is more effective than a whole group setting is because you're going to have friends who would really benefit from phonemic awareness work. Your second language learners, your students who are struggling readers, your students who have delays in their skills. Those are the kids who probably aren't going to be responding as quickly. They're going to be listening for what their friend says and then just saying the same thing rather than learning on their own. So that's why small group is thought to be better. Okay, so how are you going to start with small groups? So you're going to use a universal screener. I know a lot of teachers use Dibbles, or Acadience it's called now, AimsWeb, any of those screeners that you have. These are the screeners that I have created that go with my units. And you want to screen your students. Part of it you can do in whole group and part of it you can do one-on-one, but then that is going to help you to differentiate your phonemic awareness lessons with your students. You're really going to get a good understanding of where they are in the continuum. Can they isolate beginning sounds? Can they isolate ending sounds? Do they know how to segment and blend 3-sound words, words with blends? Like, where are they on that continuum? And then you're going to group your students with similar skills together. And then I also have a data tracker, so you can just put everyone's name and then it kind of keeps track of where they are and you can just reassess as needed. But you just want to keep track of where they are in your scope and sequence, and you can use a data tracker to just like know right at a glance, or bring them to your data meetings and all of that. Just track their growth. So what do we know? Let's kind of recap all the recommendations that we know from research. To be most effective, our phonemic awareness instruction should integrate phonics and letters, focus on phoneme level skills like blending and segmenting, those phoneme level skills. We want to start early, pre-K, K, first grade, and explicit instruction for everyone. And then we want to bring our focus down from a lot of tasks. We don't want kids to be good at phonemic awareness. We want them to be good, proficient readers. So let's, instead of doing all these tasks where students, it's like a lot for, think about your kids who are your struggling readers. All of those tasks, that is so much. Probably by the time they're getting good at identifying the beginning sound, you're moving on to the next task. So let's bring it back down. Let's bring it back down. 1 or 2 phoneme level tasks in a single lesson. And then align our instruction, align our phonemic awareness instruction to our phonics scope and sequence. Use the phonemic awareness as that, like, start your engines, get ready for learning your phonics. And then teaching phonemic awareness in small groups. These are all the recommendations from all the research. So we want to engage in, just to kind of like recap the whole thing, engage in short daily phonemic awareness tasks that integrate graphemes or letters as early as pre-K, to assist our students understanding that words are made of sounds, and those sounds are represented by letters. And then this lays the foundation for students to become accurate and automatic readers. Okay, so like I said, all of this information can help you with whatever program that you have to kind of align your instruction. If you don't have a program, I just finally, after like 6 months or more of learning and creating, I do have a program that I have just released. And so you're the first people who are hearing about it. Literally just uploaded it to my shop. But because you have invested this time of coming and learning, I want to offer it because I'm just like putting it out into the world for a really deep discount, 40% off. So I have a sample that you could look at. So my friend Laura will drop a sample that you can look at. But if you teach first grade or kindergarten, you can choose either the kindergarten or the first grade, or you can get the bundle if you think you might have kids who are going to need some work at those lower level skills of identifying or isolating the beginning and ending sound. Those are more just in the kindergarten unit. The first grade unit starts with short vowels because it aligns with the scope and sequence, the phonics scope and sequence, where we start right at short A. So 40% off. This is better than any like back to school sale. Usually it's 25% off, but I just want to offer for anybody who needs that. I am really happy and proud and excited about this resource because I tried really, really hard to make sure that everything is aligned with the research, that you're getting something good, but also I don't want it to be a lot of prep for you. So it was really intentional. Like, I don't want you cutting out all these picture cards. So I made a word mat. So you could either project this on your board, or you can just print this out and put it in a plastic sleeve, or don't even put it in anything plastic sleeve. Print it on cardstock, print it on paper. It doesn't matter. And if you're using it in small groups, then just put it in your folder. But I don't want you to have to spend a lot of time prepping and getting all these materials ready. I do think that cutting out the grapheme cards for the visual and auditory drills is a good idea. Just because then you can flip through, but there's only 26 letters, uppercase and lowercase. So but as far as the lessons, like, you got the binder, you can bind it up, you could stick in a binder, or this is the first grade lesson. You could see all the skills are here. If you're using it on the computer, these are all hyperlinks, so you could just click and it goes right to that lesson. But this is your whole week of lessons here. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So you have your skill, and then obviously it's going to be cumulative and building. So students wouldn't be exposed to anything that you haven't taught that aligns with that scope and sequence. So I just pushed print and then found this, and this was ready for the whole year in one day. And then all of these, the screeners, you're going to print them out for your students, but I don't think I showed you, but the spelling inventory. So I've given you, you don't have to think. I've given you a word and the sentence for you to use so that you can use the tool and you can check off where your students are in the continuum, right? These screeners and then the recording sheet for students. So basically, I think it's all ready for you. You just print and go, which is awesome because you have plenty of other things to do. But like I said, 40% off. I'll keep it 40% off. Tomorrow's Friday, so Friday and Saturday. But if I was you and you want to purchase it or you want to take a look at it, I would go ahead and do that tonight, because Friday is happy hour and then Saturday is T-ball and then all of that, and you forget. So I would just grab it now before the sale is over. Okay, so Laura has dropped a freebie if you would like to take a closer look. If you don't and you have something already that you love, then that's okay too. I see lots of friends saying thank you. Okay, I am going to pop over to the questions. So if you have questions, you can pop them in there and I will look at them. Okay. So Jessica has a question. What happens when students in upper grade levels never got this explicit instruction? Does research show small doses of phonemic awareness help? Yes, Jessica, absolutely. If you Google the National Reading Panel, you can pull it up. It's a 400-page document. It's not hard to read, but section 2 is all about phonemic awareness, and it can tell you the effect sizes. So students upper grade, they still made progress, but with COVID, I think a lot of kids have gaps and holes. So I would definitely say that that would be a good place. And the first thing, Jessica, I would do is go ahead and use a screener and find out where their gaps and their holes are, and then do those small doses to work with your friends. Okay, when they've only known whole word reading. Yeah, Jessica. So that's definitely, this would be so helpful for your student to really take them through the process of the phoneme grapheme mapping. So having them look at, say a word, hear the word, hopefully see a picture of it, and then tap the sound. So they're counting each sound, and then they're writing each letter that represents the sound. And then also word chaining is really good for your students to do with who have those holes, because then they can see how they're manipulating the phonemes. So start with phoneme grapheme mapping, but I would absolutely start with a screener and find out where they are and then go from there. L. Stevens, I feel like L. Stevens has been here before. Because I recognize that name. What about a student that is able to segment a word but can't blend the sounds to read the word? I had a student last year that could easily segment the sounds in a word, tap them out, but when she went to blend the sounds, she blended words. So let's try where you're doing David Kilpatrick. What does he call it? In Equipped for Reading Success. I think he call it continuous blending. Meaning like you would show them just two letters. So you would show them tap. You would say tap, and you would have them just do the first two sounds. So they would see T-A, and you would have them blend that together. And then after they do that, then you would add the P. So they would see tap. So a good way to do that, I've seen before. You can make a slider. You could use a note card and then put an envelope, just cut off the end of an envelope and then like slide the word out. So they're only saying like 2 letters at a time and then the third. So they're only doing 2 sounds and then the third. I think that's really helpful. David Kilpatrick's book is called Equipped for Reading Success. It's all about phonemic awareness and how to build word recognition in your students. I think that's a really good read because he talks all about how to promote orthographic mapping so students have instant retrieval to regular words, to codable words, and irregular words. Tala, how often do you introduce a new phoneme or unlock a sound? In the scope and sequence, some sections have more than one sound. So in first grade, the scope and sequence starts with just short vowels. So it would just be one phoneme. And later in the year, like I know for sure, vowel teams, like the graphemes, it's still one sound. Long A is spelled with two grapheme pairs. So like A-Y and A-I, sail and say both have long A, but they're spelled with different grapheme pairs. So I think that's very appropriate, especially at that point in the year in first grade. In kindergarten, we can start with, those continuous sounds like M. I think it's M-A-S-T, I think is the first few. A lot of people in their program use what they call SAT PIN, but those are the first letters that are introduced with the short A. So it's S-A-T and then P-I-N, and it just keeps building so that students can start blending words right away. So I think if you're explicitly teaching and you're using your sound wall, you might not do, like if there's 3 listed on your scope and sequence, then you're not going to do all 3 in kindergarten on day 1. You're going to do like M today, and then tomorrow you're going to review M and you're going to do A, right? And so you're kind of building throughout the week. Virag, would you meet your small groups during literacy centers or create new groups just for phonemic instruction? I think that I would definitely try to align it with my literacy center groups. And I think that what we see most of the time is that when we do like these kinds of assessments, we're going to see that our kids, where they are ready for decoding, what skill level they're at. Are they in CVC? Are they ready to move up to words with blends, words with digraphs? Are they ready to keep progressing through the skills? That's where we're meeting them. So I would absolutely say that there's going to be a match there. And of course, you have to be flexible, and you always have like outliers. So then you're going to figure out like, I'm going to put in with this person with this group, but then I'm going to ask them to stay a couple extra minutes or come a few minutes early, or I'm going to catch them in the morning during morning work time. You're going to kind of think through how can you meet everybody's needs, right? Kathy, is there a second grade program? There is not, Kathy. The research says that it's really, the effect is really that we have to get them early. So kindergarten and first grade, especially. Now, if your second grade students are still struggling a little bit, or they're reading more, they're working on skills that are lower level, then you can absolutely use the first grade program. Would you recommend getting grade 1 for a grade 2 teacher? Yes, absolutely. Bobby. And then Michelle, do you have something that you created that has independent student activities that go along with your lessons and scope and sequence? Michelle, so Michelle, I think are you talking about, maybe pop in the comments and let me know. Are you asking me if I have something that is for phonemic awareness? Because yes, I do. Are you asking if you, or for phonics? Because yes, I have both. Okay. Yes. Janet says we do continuous blending in my class each day with a mystery word. We put the word card in an envelope and then pull it out, the card showing one letter at a time. Students have to try to guess the word based on the letter sounds they see until they see all the letters and then blend the sounds to say the word. Excellent. Yes, mystery word. That's fun. It's so engaging, right? Okay. Jacqueline, SOAR is an emerging teaching movement in the last few years. There are so many books by experts, programs, Kilpatrick, UFLI, and resources. How do we decide which to use? Jacqueline, does your school have a program? Like, I would start there. And if your school does not have a program, can you ask for a program? Because honestly, I provide resources and I want teachers to have the things that they need. I believe that what I'm creating is amazing. And I know because the teachers that have shared with me the growth that they've seen with students. But I also think that your school, you're going to need to know what your school wants you to use. If they're not using a program, then I would say, UFLA is a great resource. Kilpatrick doesn't have a program. He has books that will teach you. He does have like 1-minute drills, but there's a lot of controversy about his 1-minute drills because he doesn't focus on the phoneme level skills. So do some homework, I guess. Wonders is not really aligned to the science of reading. Jacqueline says you use Wonders, the Patrick Manual, but I want something specific to use. So, Jacqueline, I would say that this would be a good fit for you if you need a phonemic awareness program. Haggerty, you could buy that. Oh, I just said it. You could buy Haggerty. I think it's like $80, but it doesn't align to the research. And I know that teachers are really excited about that program. And I would probably be really excited about that program if I had not learned what the research says and really dug in. And I think that's where we're seeing this shift start to happen. I'm going to try not to be on my soapbox really a long time, but I think what's happening is teachers are becoming not smart consumers, but teachers are getting excited about teaching because the science of reading, the shift, it's like out in the mainstream now. It's been around for decades, okay? The National Reading Panel was published in the year 2000. We had the information, and it wasn't until, I'm losing her name, Emily Hanford. She published the blog post, Lost for Words, and why our students were failing. And it's the whole reading wars, balanced literacy, and all of that. And so when it started coming out, now teachers are being empowered or being given knowledge to choose effective programs that work, not for some students, because Wonders will work for some students, but we want it to work for all students. And so that is where it's exciting, because I think that we're going to see a huge shift soon, and we're going to have more students who are able to read. We want all of our friends to be able to read, and the information out there, the research says that 95% of students are capable of reading. But why aren't they? Why are our students not scoring there? It's because teachers don't have the tools, or teachers, there's a lot of teachers who say, I can't do that. My school still wants me to do this. I'm not allowed to use decodable readers. Okay, I'm stepping down from my soapbox now. I am going to do a giveaway because I meant to do a giveaway, and here we are at the very end. So let's do a giveaway. And if you just purchased it, then tell me I just purchased it, and I will let you choose something else. So let's do a giveaway. You get to tell me if you would like all you have to do is type in the comments if you'd rather have the kindergarten program or the first grade program. Pop it in the comments and then I'll pick 2 people. How about that? That's easy. Just pop in the comments. Look at all these friends are popping it in. I love when people, I wish y'all could be on the camera because then I could see your fun faces, and thank you for coming. Okay. All right. There's a lot of people. So the only fair way to do this would be I'm going to pop it. Okay, went way too far up. Okay, stop it right there. K program, please. BG blocker. You are the winner of a kindergarten phonemic awareness program. And thank you for saying please. That was so sweet. Okay, one more. Let's pop one more. Okay. Tracy Harrison. Oh gosh, it just popped. I want to make sure. H-A-I-R-S-T-O-N. First grade, please. Okay, so you're my winners. Email me hello@mrswintersbliss.com. And we will get that out to you really soon. Okay, if there's no more questions, and if you think of a question later, you can just email me back. But I'm just so happy that you came here and spent this time with me and filled my bucket, not my buck, filled my bucket, and sharing. Yeah, I'm not a male deer. Filled my bucket, and just let me share all the things that I love. I just love learning about teaching, talking to teachers, working with teachers, creating resources. And so this is really fun for me. And I just thank you for being the dedicated teacher that you are, that came here. And I hope this was super helpful and valuable to you, and that you go to your school and you help your team to learn about effective phonemic awareness. Because friends, the research is really, really clear that if we skip over phonemic awareness, we're really missing the target for our students. It's really, really clear. That's one of the things that the research is super clear. Okay. All right. I am going to pop off now and go check on my sweet girl and see if she's crying as much about going to 8th grade as I am. So bye for now.